Hello, welcome to Professor Skye's Record Review, the only first listen new music review show hosted by a French professor sitting next to his dog. So, I'm going to be reviewing an album by a band that I can't really say. This is a family-friendly channel. It's not for kids, but it's not exclusive of kids. They're called the Holy F Words, or as my computer corrected them to, Holy Ducks, and their album Deleter. And it's funny because there's three different albums I wanted to review today, and I came to this one because I turned it on while I was going into the gym, and I was just, listening to it, and I just got so into it. This is the kind of album where you just sort of want to, it has a very consistent groove, and you just want to climb inside of it. Now, it turns out this group is a Canadian group, but they make electronic music. And the thing is, electronic music is usually the brainchild of one person or two people, and it feels very much like a person with their laptop, It feels very much like someone just sitting there, just like, figuring out and looping and creating all sorts of automated music, or music that uses automation. This is a band that does kind of the opposite of that. They make music that sounds inspired by and uses a lot of the same tricks of electronic music, but they do it all themselves. It's an actual band, and you truly feel that it's a band. So just based on that description, if I were me, and I am me, and I were watching this video, which I'm not, I'm making this video, but if I were me and I was watching this video, I would immediately go listen to that. Because electronic music has so many great conventions and is able to create such great atmosphere, but often it misses that sort of tangible soul, that thing that you can't really explain. Why is it that when you listen to a lot of electronic music, you know it's made by one person? And how is it that on this you can feel it's a collaborative effort? It's an electronic dance music album, it's techno, whatever, but it's actually closer to the Grateful Dead than it is to Deadmau5, right? Like, it feels like a band that's jamming and coming up with good stuff. And it's cool because it reminds me of sort of the sweet spot of electronic music. Sort of, like before the new wave came in and made it pop. Like back when you had sort of, like early-ish Devo and Kraftwerk, and you had that sort of feeling that like there could be a real artistic edge to this new electronic music. And even before sort of house music and techno came in and sort of messed it up in the other way too, of just infinite subgenres and all about dancing and a certain kind of dancing experience. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play for you the first song. And this is what drew me in. And it is just an incredible track. It's called Lux. And it's great because it's like, it drives, it has that kind of like driving feeling, like, you sort of want to bob your head, you sort of want to ride in a car. And it uses a lot of the great tropes. Like, it has all these wonderful crescendos and even kind of drops and staccato beats. But you know that it's a drummer playing the drums. So I'll just play you a little bit of this, and I think you'll get into it. If you're the kind of person who likes my reviews, I think you'll get into this. So this is the track Lux by Holy Ducks. By the way, I think I don't know. French-Canadian is very different than French-French because their swears are very, like, hyper-Catholic, and they're all kind of, like, tabernacle is a big swear in French-Canadian. I sort of wonder if this name, Holy F Words, is partly because Canada is more sensitive to the absurdity of religious vulgarity. I don't know. That's a pet theory. That's a pet. Okay, here we go. So, that's like a real drummer playing that, and you can feel that the keyboards aren't really automated. They're not like perfectly in sync all the time. And all the time it has this kind of atmosphere. Sort of underwater, the singing. So here's what I'm talking about. It feels like it's building up to a crescendo. It's building up to something, right? Lots of cool sounds. Someone actually playing on that hi-hat. Okay, here comes the crescendo. Right? Alright. I'm actually gonna full on start dancing here. It's not why you watch the show. Is it, Toby? Toby, you are just such a handsome dog. You really are. He's very skittish though. He was a shelter dog. He was abused as like a little puppy, and he basically constantly feels like he's just about to be in danger. But you aren't, are you, little buddy? I'm gonna feed you right after this video. Okay. So the whole album maintains that kind of vibe. And I would say if there's anything bad about the album, or the worst parts of the album, I'm going to turn down this light a little bit, it's a little bit intense. The worst parts of the album really are just parts where it gets a little bit boring, but when it's boring, it's still good because it maintains that atmosphere, that kind of driving, cool, like electronic, personal vibe. So even when it's bad, it's good. There's lots of great tracks with like the second track, Deleter, I think the second track's called Deleter, has this kind of great bass. The one complaint I would have is that all the vocals are swallowed, like you heard on that. Like, I heard the entire album, there's lyrics on basically every track, and I couldn't tell you one lyric from the entire thing. The entire thing. They could have been singing in Italian for all I know. Which is okay, but sometimes I wish they had more. When we got to a track like Free Gloss, kind of halfway through, I started to get a little bit bored, but again, like they added some dynamics. Like they had this kind of quiet part, and then they went to a super discordant part, which then led into the second best track. My advice to you, and I suggest this very highly, listen to the first track, Lux, and then listen to the track Moment. Like Moment has this almost like Daft Punk sounding, blah, blah, over and over again, almost like this like a restrained bell kind of noise. But then these real drums come in, and this like Western guitar line, like down, 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 and like these things drop out and come back in, and then there's this whole bit where it's like kind of quiet with this tinkly, tinkly sounds. It's just great. And then as it keeps going, there'll be later in the song these weird instances with the guitar that come in and just do like a little melody that you only hear once. It's really excellent. It's excellently produced. This, I would say, is the best produced track on the album. Some of it feels, I don't know if it's not well mixed or not well mastered or something. Maybe amateurish, which, I don't know, that's an obnoxious thing to say. I mean, I'm an amateur. You saw me just adjust my lighting. Blah! Blah! So, anyways, who am I to say what's amateurish? Yeah, I know, Toby, that was weird. But this is definitely the best mixing on the album. They seem to do something really right there. Near Mint is another good track. Just great sounds. They're able to create really wonderful sounds without it. You just know that they're never using GarageBand or Audible or, Audacity. They might be using Audible, listening to books on tape. But, like Near Mint's this great example. If you listen to it, where you have like the sort of these weird synth sounds and then like a real Stratocaster and a drum set and a bass. That's a real good example of the kind of song where I just wanted to just dive in and just live in the groove that they're able to create. To make electronic music that is groovy and has soul is a true achievement. It's funny, when I'm thinking about what does this remind me of that I've reviewed, the thing it reminds me most of is the band Fly Pan Am, who's from Montreal, also from Canada. Now, Fly Pan Am is very discordant, and they very much like to bother you and make you upset. But in a similar way, both of these acts help me to sort of understand something that I don't think I really understood in my history of paying attention to music. That like there's a connection like between krautrock, bands like Can, like kind of loud, jammy, cerebral, laid back, but aggressive at the same time, rock and roll, kind of long form rock and roll. There's a connection between bands like Can and Kraftwerk. Now, of course, they're both German, so of course there's that connection. But what I mean is that like the sort of segue from that sort of like guitar, instrumental, long form music into the sort of cyber electronic. When I listen to bands like Holy Ducks, when I listen to Fly Pan Am, I feel like I understand that because both of them are kind of psychedelic, kind of out there, kind of electronic, kind of distorted, kind of like dystopian and utopian at the same time. There's another track called San Sebastian, and I almost reviewed that. I was this close to reviewing the new album by of Montreal, the band that's not Canadian, because they have a song called Saint Sebastian as well. So 2 songs in 1 week called Saint Sebastian. I don't know. I don't really know why that is. And then it ends with a track called Ruby, which is cool. It has a kind of like boots and cats beginning. You know, just but a drummer actually playing it. And that really, they kind of gave the drummer something to do, that whole song, and it's great. You actually got to hear a bit of a drum solo, and just really drove home the kind of the soul of this music. So there you go. Deleter, which I don't know, they had to learn French as well. Is this turning the word delete into an ER verb in French? Like, you know, déliter, je délite, tu délites, il elle délite, nous délitons. Probably not. But it's a really good album, and I'm very happy that I reviewed it. And I think you should give it a listen, because this kind of idea of making techno music like with a band could be a gimmick, but it's not. It just makes good music. All right. Well, until next time, I'm gonna go feed Toby. Toby, you want to eat dinner? Huh? And Bo. There's the camera.